Let's now take into account further effects we can obtain and add through the environment command. The environment command enables you to add several different effects on your image, such as, for example, fog and snow. So, let's start the environment command. And for this purpose, once the command has been started, let us check the foreground box. In the adjacent drop-down list, let's select, for example, snow, start the preview, and here we are. Let us wait for the preview to complete. It takes time because all the lights and all the light effects are applied to our model. Lots of snowflakes will be placed upon our original image as soon as the rendering process completes. And there they are. If you open the foreground node, for each chosen effect, you can adjust several properties, such as the scale, various density factors, and the color, which we might also change as we like. The fog effect, instead, is applied only to the model. Let's make an attempt. Let us start a preview and wait a moment, and as you will see, only the airplane will be affected by fog, and in such an exceeding way, since the color that is currently set is white. Let's wait for the preview to complete. If only the model has been affected, this means the background image is not appropriate. You will see now the black airplane. So let's get back to image, browse and choose a proper image, for example the lake fog.jpg background image. Now let us change the values of the fog foreground. We need to lower the value of the max density from its current value of 1, which would completely hide our airplane, to 0.5 by dragging the slider adjacent to max density from 1 to 0.5 with the mouse left button. Let's release the button when the slider reaches 0.5. Let's change the color to white, though we might change it too. To appreciate our seaplane in the fog, let us also change its position first. Let us start the backview command, and our model changed to this. Let's optimize the view by typing F on the keyboard, and let's start the zoom out command to reduce just a bit the size of the model in the scene. Furthermore, let's move the model upwards by keeping the Ctrl key pressed on the keyboard and by moving the model upwards with the left mouse button pressed down until we reach the desired position, and then let us release both the Ctrl key and the mouse button. Finally, to mark the flight of the float plane with the right button of the mouse pressed, let us rotate it a bit toward right, and then translate it a bit to the right to the same way we did before. And let's now take a look at the preview of our seaplane flying in the fog. It's, well, what can I say? It's wow, isn't it? Let's wait for the preview to complete, and we shall start wowing again. Look at it, it's coming up. Now we have the complete fog image. Wonderful. The last effect we want to investigate is about depth. It creates a lighting of the image that does not show the background image and that is related to a certain background color that has to be set. So let's underline again very clearly that the depth effect does not show the background image. Let us start showing such effect by selecting the environment command again. In the foreground drop-down list, let us select the depth key value. We can choose the background color and the near and far values. The values of the distances. Afterwards, we shall explain the inner meaning of these values. By now, let us set near to 100 and far to 25,000. Let's then finally confirm the environment command by clicking OK. Now let us proceed by setting the view to left, back, and let us fit it by typing an F on the keyboard. Let's perform a little upwards rotation using the right button of the mouse, and eventually let's fit the view again. We can now take a look at the preview of our object with the depth Q effect. With such a blank background, it is one of those effects that are very often in the most common car advertisements in the media. Now let us see the preview and let us wait for it to complete. As I told you many times, it takes time because it takes into account all the lighting effects on our scene. Okay, you can see the black background, no background image, and well, isn't it wonderful? Let's now have a look at what we can actually change. For example, let us start the environment command again, and let us change the background color to white by selecting the corresponding button in the system color palette, displayed by the command when you click the color button. Let us confirm by clicking OK on the palette. Let us select the preview option again, and we shall obtain an effect that is very similar to the one of the fog, with so much light, as you will see as soon as the preview is over. Look at it. It's a thick fog, isn't it? Now, if we change the background color again, the same way we did before, and set it to a pale sea blue, let us do it through the background color and the palette, pale blue. Let us start a preview again. Our airplane will finally look as immersed in a blue fog, or better, inside water, or maybe, who knows, in a sunset light. Please note the values used for the near and far distances are expressed in millimeters, and we have a tight link to the size of the model. In our case, since the length of our airplane is just a little less than 10 meters from the helix to the tail, and also the wingspan is 10 meters or so, we are using depth Q values that are about twice and a half those of the model bounding box, and which enable us to view it. With other values it would not be visible probably, though with the appropriate attenuation that we wanted to show. Take this into account. This is all related to the default focal length, that is 70 millimeters. If you use a bigger focal length, attenuation reduces. On the contrary, if you reduce the focal length value, attenuation gets higher and higher till the model completely disappears, which is what would happen if we set the far value to 1000. Let's now disable the attenuation effect by unchecking the foreground box, and let's load our Sky 02 background again. We shall now see how to improve the scene of our model, making it more realistic by simply adding other objects to the scene itself. The first and simplest way is to add a laying plane for our model. In this file we have already created a surface to be used as a laying plane to our objects, so let's start the View Unhide Entities command and let us unhide the plane. To exit the Unhide Entities command, right-click on the graphics area and select Cancel in the context menu. We previously added the plane a material with a texture simulating the seawater. Now let's reduce the size of the object and let us rotate it the same way as we did before in this same exercise. In order to proceed, let us hide the plane again and orientate our object using the left back view command. Then let us fit the object in the view by typing F on the keyboard. Finally, in this very order, let's unhide the plane, which will represent the sea. Let's rotate the model so that our visualization of the airplane shows it while flying. Okay, here we are. Let's move it a bit downward just to make the horizon show up. Eventually, feed the view. Again, it is wow, don't you think?